Oh, let me get my mic. I'm just finishing up my tortilla right now. I love tortillas. I love flour tortillas. They're so good in like every conceivable way possible. Like a good flour tortilla, it's just like, I can't even explain it enough. I prefer this over most bread. I mean, it kind of is bread. Hello there, and welcome. My name is Astro Thief. Today, we're going to be doing... Okay. Today, we're going to be doing a story time. And this story time is going to be a little bit fun. Because I could just talk about something that's kind of weird. Just a little bit... No, not weird. I mean, it's normal to me, which is the weird part. Growing up as a child, I was terrified of my parents. Not so much my mom, but my father. Oh, fuck yeah. I was that kid who couldn't do anything by himself unless I got my parents' permission first. Like I said, not saying that that was bad, but that was definitely a thing that I had to go through. Where every single time I wanted to do something with friends, or my friends wanted me to do something, I'd always have to ask my parents beforehand. Half the time when I would get in trouble as a kid, it wouldn't be because I knew what I was doing was wrong. It's because I didn't know what I was doing was wrong. This extends to movies. This extends to video games. Like, I had to ask my parents if I could do anything, essentially. Like, that was a very normal thing for me as the oldest child in my life. That was a very normal thing. I remember one time I'm at my best friend's house, my elementary school best friend, and he's playing GTA. And he asks me if I want to play. And I'm like, I don't think my parents would like it if I played it. So I never played it. That's honestly the reason why I never grew up playing GTA. Like a lot of my friends grew up playing Grand Theft Auto. I never grew up playing it because I knew that my parents wouldn't like it if I played that game. That's totally something that happened. Oh my God, this is so good. I'm going to finish my tortilla. This actually goes into the story of the very first PG-13 movie that I ever saw. Not the very first R-rated movie. If I recall correctly, the very first R-rated movie that I've ever seen was a movie called The Mission. And I'll bring this up every single fucking time to my dad. That movie scarred the living shit out of me. When I was 10, my same childhood best friend, he had come over and he had this movie that he'd just gotten. I think his parents might have gotten for him. It was called AVP, Alien vs. Predator. Some of us know that. Some of us know what that movie is. It's not like the most graphic fucking movie, like it's up there, but it's part of the Alien Predator franchise series, so it can get a little bit gory and gruesome. It's really not that bad. I went to my parents while they were still in bed, while they were sleeping, like half asleep, and I asked them if I could watch this movie, because I really wanted to watch the movie. The cover looked really cool. And I really wanted to watch this movie. So I would ask my parents and I'd try to get them to like half-heartedly say yes. And then I can be like, yay, they said yes. Can't take that back now. Which, as a matter of fact, that's what they did. They said yes. So I ended up watching this movie. And the movie was awesome. It was so fucking cool. And then flash forward a couple years later when I started to watch more PG-13 movies and then started to watch maybe a couple R-rated movies. If I recall correctly, the very first rated R movie that I ever saw in theaters was Knocked Up. Growing up with my parents and being around my parents and living with my parents and, you know, all that, that's one thing. But whenever I got literally sent to Houston to be with my uncles, who, by the way, were the same age as I was. Yeah, that works. That's a thing. My uncles were ghetto ass. Holy shit. They really fucking were. And it was so funny because thinking back on it, reflecting on that time of my life, like, holy shit, I was able to go through all of that and still come out like a Krispy Kreme fucking donut. When I'm with my uncles, you know, I'm not with my parents, so I can't ask them if I can do shit. This was honestly before cell phones. Honestly, before I even had a cell phone or anything like that. It was their discretion that was basically totally okay for me to do and watch these things. For instance, I watched one movie with my uncles called Starship Trooper. You guys remember the movie Starship Trooper? Yeah, it's not too bad. It's a fucking sci-fi movie about a bunch of alien spiders and Space Marines and shit like that. Not Space Marines from like 40K, like people like Marines from the US, and they go to space. Imagine watching that movie as a child, as a fucking, not barely a teenager, not even a teenager. I watched that movie at such a young age where it was actually terrifying. It was scary as fuck. It was a horror movie for me. It was an absolute fucking horror movie for me. It was terrible. And it's so funny how I remember all the movies that like had this sort of this impact on me. Starship Troopers was definitely one of those movies. I also remember watching, Knocked Up, which I believe might be my very first rated R movie that I ever saw, at least in theaters. I went to the theaters with my uncles and we were going to go watch one movie, and then they said, wait, do you just want to go to watch this movie? It's got Seth Rogen in it. It's called Knocked Up. And I'm like, whatever, sure, I don't care. Let's go see it. I went to go see it, and I didn't realize how fucking graphic that movie was at the time. Like, I think I remember it was a rated R, but I'm like, whatever, what the fuck even is rated R? It was a funny movie, yeah, but not for a 10-year-old who doesn't get any of the fucking jokes. Do you know what's another movie that I watched that also fucked me up? So this actually falls within the same vein of arachnophobia that I somewhat had as a child. I've kind of gotten over it more or less as an adult. Like, now I'm not scared of them. I just still hate them, and I will kill them every chance that I get. Don't tell me like, oh, you capture and put them outside. No, fuck them. Fuck you and fuck spiders. I don't care about that. I will just kill them. There's plenty more outside. I don't need to add more. One more is not going to make a fucking difference. Delusional. Don't even. Eight-legged freaks. Wow, Lady Bear. Yeah, you're dead ass on. You're dead ass on. That movie fucked me up. That was also one of the movies that I watched as a young child. That the movie came out in 2002. This movie fucked me the absolute fuck up. Like, okay, this movie's PG-13 too. So this had to have been now that I'm thinking, this was the first PG-13 movie that I ever saw. I'm gonna put this away because I don't like looking at the spiders. 2002, golly, I was 8 years old. I was 8 years old when I saw this movie, and then 2 years later would have been AVP when I was 10 years old. So 8 years old, I saw Eight-Legged Freaks, but I didn't really watch it. I was over at my elementary school friend's house, right? And he was watching it, and then he asked me, I asked him what movie he was watching, and like, it's called Eight-Legged Freaks. So like, oh, cool, I'm gonna watch it too. I had no idea. Had no idea what the fuck it was about. Didn't know it was PG-13. Nothing. We kept watching it, and then there's one scene in that movie where the doctor who kind of like studies all these spiders, like his whole like house, which is his laboratory or whatever, filled with spider enclosements and everything like that. That scene where the camera the transitions back inside of the laboratory, and it just pans across the entire space, and it's just covered in webs, and all of the fucking casings are empty, like the spiders aren't there anymore, and the webs everywhere. And then you see the face of the doctor covered in and he's cocooned, and then you see him get dragged away. Right there, right fucking there, right there. I had to get up and walk away. I'm like, you keep watching. I cannot watch this. Nope. And I stopped right there. That had to have been maybe like 20 minutes into the movie, maybe less. I don't fucking know. I'm not gonna check. So I suppose AVP was the actual PG-13 movie that I watched from start to finish. Eight-Legged Freaks was one that I tried to watch and just could not do it. Scared the living fuck out of me.